Good morning and welcome to Sangaku TV. For all our global listeners and watchers, I am so impressed. This Facebook response has been wonderful. Now, you know, when we first started this show, we talked about the bow, and for all the Western people who don't bow, we gave them a very simple explanation. You know, we said bend over. But this morning, for each and every one of you who gets up every day like I do and tries to be a good martial artist, Yo in India, King of Happiness. Now we will begin to practice because I respect you, because we do martial art. My daughter loves me to death. She says, Dad, you know, sometimes they're not getting your real personality. You got to be a little bit more charming. Be a little bit more like the French guy. And I said, okay, all right. You know, I'm pretty casual, but I love martial art. And yes, it's true. I have a French background, and I'm very proud of that. But what I'm mostly proud of is there's people around the planet now that have Facebook, YouTube, that kind of stuff. There's no longer a chance to teach a technique that is not of value. So Dr. Horn created a system of martial art we hope has value. Today I'm going to extend off on the dragon's tail. But first, I want to get back to those guys from the beginning. I can't work out because my back hurts. And I talked about doing this. Bending the legs, raising the sky. I mentioned when you bring the shoulders down, that you must bring the head up, and then you must look with your eyes left and right. I'm hoping you get some adjustments in that. And I'm not going to cover that long because when we get on our regular website and I'm exercising with you every day, I'll spend more time with that. But I did cover that, and it was important for me to do that. I also covered the fact that how you flex your diaphragm and bow. And when you walk, you breathe through your nose, out through your mouth. When you sit, you breathe through your nose, out through your mouth. When you stand, you breathe through your nose and out through your mouth. Pretty standard. Now, in 25 or 30 years of doing that, you know, you're going to find out what I'm talking about. But we initiated it for you, and we talked about that. Then I elaborated in great lengths about how to make a hand, how to open the hand, how to times 10. Okay, so for you new viewers who have been practicing that, I'd like to give you the next step in your evolution. After you close the hand and you do the 10 count and you squeeze and you open them up. Okay, I want you to become a little bit more Okinawan now, and when you turn your hand over and begin to close it, I want you to draw both hands all the way back to your heart and take a deep breath. And now out. Open the hand up. Make it firm, the whole body. Close the hand. Firm the body. Pull it all the way back. Inhale, exhale. Now you do that 4 or 5 times. If your body temperature is not picked up, I'm not paying attention. But that's it. I want you to learn to punch from the heart at some point because it's very Okinawan. Some point we'll punch from here. Some point we'll punch from here. But for beginners, brand new guys, I like punching from the heart. Now, when you raise the sky, it's an exercise for your neck. When you pull these hands back and your shoulder blades should try to collapse like you're squeezing a grapefruit between your shoulder blades. How do we exercise? Well, if your back is bad and you don't have any core alignment, for most of you, I sent out video productions of how electricity runs in the body. And if your body is crooked, how you get energy going in the wrong spot. So it's pretty important as a new guy that you learn how to get healthy. And I talked to a man the other day, and he asked me, he said, well, do you do competition martial art? I said, no, I was born kind of crippled, and then I had to get over my American youth, and now I'm an old man, and I've always attracted to the holistic part of martial art to strengthen myself because I didn't want to be the weakest man in the room, as we talked about EMC's former teacher. And so that was Dr. Horn's deal. Why do you want to be the weakest guy in the room? So the 2 exercises I gave you today, and I gave you the how and the why. So I hope that some of you will at least work on that a little bit. All right. Now, you know, I talked about the dragon's tail last week. EMC is going to help me. And I had him open his legs up, just straight up. And I said, you know, there's a balance point here because there's no trajectory in the front or the back. So I can push him forward or I can push him back. And we said, well, okay. So we said, well, how do you take advantage of that? And then I started talking about the dragon's tail. And when I talked about the dragon's tail, I said that, you know, it's either right here or it's right behind me. But sometimes you have to move the tail. Nobody just stands still when they're being attacked. And because it's martial art, we deal with a punch. So I'll deal with a straight punch to the head, right? And then we do hand techniques, right? And then we do Zenkutsudotsu, which is a forward stance. You guys see me do it this way. Okay. Well, I'm going to do a forward stance for you, but it's not going to work out like you think. I'm still in a forward stance. And I changed my dragon's tail. Punch. Punch again. And so for you that are paying attention to this, when he throws a punch, and I get it out of the way, he throws another punch, and I kind of get out of the way, and now he gave me this position, and I talked about the dragon's tail. Well, let's do the inside technique. Let's do the outside technique. Leg up. Leg down. Did that not affect his dragon's tail? Same move again. Leg up. Leg down. Now, there's nobody on the planet that's doing judo, jiu-jitsu, or aikido, or karate that does not incorporate that concept into their drill. Okay, so the point of the program is you guys that are senseis out there and you're talking to your students, they're saying, hey, that guy over there, he's talking about the same stuff you're talking about. I said, yeah, that was the idea, right? That it's universal, that we're all doing the same kind of the idea. Who's the best fighter? Well, that takes the best fighter, doesn't it? But I'm just trying to be healthy, and I have a way to practice with EMC. And if you have someone to practice with, you learn that these techniques are really easy to develop. Big punch. Now I can hurt him with this, and everybody who does karate and stuff says, whoa, big punch. Third leg. Correct? We're all back to that third leg. I can do a shift, leg up. Now watch where I put this foot. It's going to make all the difference in the world. And so, in some of the stances that you see in different forms of martial pugilism, sometimes you say, well, that guy gets in that stance like that, I'm going to kick him in the stuff. And I'll say, well, yeah, maybe. If his stuff is where you think you can get to it, but he's probably doing that stance so he can take out your dragon's tail. Most fighting takes place up here. Okay? Well, I can't do that because I'm not faster than most people. So you'll hear Dr. Horn talking about manipulation, energy drain. You're going to hear me talking about position. You're going to hear him talking about position. So if you're not in the right splice at the right time, you can't do the technique. Okay, so that being said, here's your forward stance. And somebody says, well, yeah, how do you turn around and get behind you? Well, some guys say, well, just spin your feet. Spin on your toes. Spin on your heels. Well, you can do that. I didn't learn it that way. What I learned was a technique called Tai-Subaki. And we would simply put this foot behind us and change. Put this foot behind us and change. Now, if you have a floor and you have an imaginary line and you want to stay on the same line, so you did Zenkutsudotsu, but now you want to change and you want to get back on that line. And you simply change back on that line. It takes a little bit of practice, but when you do Aikido now, or Judo or stuff, this guy comes in here and he punches, and I'm going to do Tai-Subaki. Watch my footwork. Okay, so when you use the dragon's tail, remember, sometimes you have to change your position, and this is a good way of changing it. When you step up into Zenkutsudotsu, he'll throw a forward punch. Let me have the other side. He'll throw a forward punch, and you have the luxury of parallel feet technique, which gets you into Zenkutsu, right? So I'm going to give him a little push. I'm going to step my foot around. with a little no effort, I'm going to send him flying. So a lot of guys, when you watch the YouTube and Facebook, are showing you those techniques, but they're going so fast, you're wondering, how do they get there? How do they do that? Watch what their feet are doing, because one of my favorite things to tell anybody is if your technique is weak, look at your feet. I'm going to say it over and over. Now, for those of you that have started out, I've showed you how to make a fist, right? I showed you how to do circle step. I showed you how to do circle arm. And I showed you how to do U-raking. We've done over this and over this. And people say, well, when are you going to teach us how to do a kata? Today is move one and a Taikyoku Jodan. So if you don't know anything about martial art, you got to learn this move first. And then I will encapsulate with pieces as we go along so that you guys can kind of follow along. Now, where I studied, we call this basic or Kihan. This is called Taikyoku Jodan. I'm going to show you the very first move. All forms start with a mudra. This in itself is its own martial art. But I will show you the move. I will show it to you again. Mudra. Down. That's your first move out of Taikyoku Jodan. And I want you guys to practice that, and I'll hear from you on Facebook and stuff. After a while, I'm going to be teaching 5 or 6 days a week, 8, 9 hours a day. So you guys on Facebook and YouTube, you're waking up or going to bed, you get a hold of me. We'll discuss the technique. But I like teaching this way. And if it kind of helps you, this is the format I want to teach in. If there's something more you want to learn, you're going to have to communicate with us later, because EMC and I are busy all the time wanting to bring the elevate to higher level of martial art up. But we're very reminded that the future of martial art starts with young people. And so I always want to start out with, you know, humanitarian and holistic values for children. And I hate to scare them. But in some countries, kids wake up every day, things aren't scary. So I hope those men out there that know how will scoop them up, get on YouTube and Facebook with us so that their life's not so scary anymore. Okay, I talked about the turn. I talked about your Taikyoku. I talked about dragon's tail. And those are just little pieces of things that you need to learn in martial art. And I'd like to get more elaborate with you, but as your training accelerates, but then I'll teach you more. I'll have EMC come out for just a minute. We've beat on his arms. We've hit him in the neck. You guys got all those chiropractic pictures the other day of all the nerves in the neck. So you know I'm not over here pounding on him. I want him to grow up and be old. Okay? But there still is a little bit of believing that goes on. And people say, well, I don't believe that technique worked. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, you know, every day, some of us guys go out there and hit on stuff, and our hands get pretty hard. And you come up here and crack somebody behind the neck, that's a baby, in my opinion. I don't care if they're 40 years old. If they're not used to being handled, this is fragile. So be careful, all you guys that want to be tough. Remember, we're humans, and try not to make yourself something more than what you really are. Okay? At the end of the day, time takes time. I wanted to be a black belt the moment I saw the guys on the wall. You notice today I'm wearing a black belt? I'm not wearing no colors because I don't need to. Because more than anything, I am so proud that I am just a black belt. I am a Sangaku black belt. And I study under James R. Horn, Sarasota, Florida. We are an American style, and I'm very proud to be that guy that gets to represent it. So for all my friends on Facebook, YouTube, I hope you like us. I hope you share us. And if you want more serious information, you need to contact me. In the meantime, I'm going to pretty much focus on the new guys and people that are gentle, that are scared to death to even come to your school. Maybe they'll come here for a few minutes and they'll realize, oh, heck, I can do that stuff too. Anything I can do, the world can do. But remember, being a black belt is an honor and a privilege. And those of us that start putting colors on there, it means that we've accepted a degree of responsibility. My degree of responsibility is I am the inheritor of Sangaku Bujitsu. Nothing else and nothing more. And that's what I will participate in. If you want to join me in Sangaku at EMC, so Bill Scott and Dr. James Horn, we'd love to have you. And we're going to rock you, me and EMC. Arigato gozaimashita. Remember, time takes time. Be a white belt. Thank you.